Have you ever looked at desk tours on YouTube and thought, man, this stuff is way too expensive and nice? Then this video may be for you, because I'm going to be showing you my sort of frugal, more value-orientated desk setup and run you through a total of 14 items which cost me £777, which now that I say that sounds like a lot of money, but I don't know, it was built piecewise, not all at once. We're going to start off big, and that means starting off with my desk. So I followed the hype and got a standing desk, but I do think there are definite benefits. To my understanding, the main thing is the ability to have a different working position throughout the day, because let's face it, our bodies don't enjoy being static for about 8 hours a day, and having the ability to sit and stand means there's some variety in your body. It doesn't get too used to one position and get kind of muscularly adapted to that position, which can lead to problems. So I find it great. I like that this is motorized because, I don't know, a hand crank would be far too much effort. You'll see below the desk you have my computer, desktop computer in a Fractal Design Node 304 case. I'm not including the computer in this video because, I don't know, computers vary a lot. You will also see my meticulously arranged cables. I am of course joking, and I do feel that cable management is an absolute waste of time, but that is a topic for another video. Getting back to the desk, the main issue with standing desks is the cost, and I was very fortunate to find this desk for £50 on Facebook Marketplace. It's a Von-haus model. It's a little bit sketchy. I'm pretty sure it wasn't stolen, but we'll never really know. It did seem legit at the time. I paired that with the Ikea Linmon desktop, which cost £12. I'm really not sure how they managed to make that for £12. It's 1.2 meters. It's not the hugest, but for the amount of space I have, it works quite well, and it's a nice clean white look. Before we move on, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe if you haven't already. It's a really long way to 1,000 and every click counts. Paired with my desk, I have the Ikea Lidkullen sit-stand stool, which I'm sitting on right now as well. Oh, you probably can't see it. It only costs £55 new, which I think is fantastic considering its build quality. I use this for sitting as well as perching, where I'm kind of standing and then leaning on it, which I find quite comfortable. I also sometimes rest my knee on it while I'm standing. I'll be honest, it's not the most comfortable chair, especially for long periods of time, because it forces quite an upright posture. When I get bored of it, I do sometimes squat on it to have a little break. But overall, I've had a good experience with it and I will continue using it. Another option for standing is I have this guitar stand, which you can use to take a captain's pose when you're standing and you put one foot on it. You can also rock it back and forth. There's a little bit of movement. I haven't found that particularly comfortable when I've tried it, and yeah, so I don't use this too much, but I do use it when playing guitar, so it does get some use. The last big item is my monitor, which I'm going to include here. It's a Dell ultra-sharp 23-inch 1080p monitor from about 8 years ago, which is still going strong, serving me well. It's IPS, so it's got good viewing angles, the colors are pretty good, and it's matte, which I really prefer. I really hate glossy screens and their reflectiveness. I am having some issues with it now. There's some discoloration on one of the sides. I've scratched it in a couple places, but I will replace it at some point. I will get like a 1440p monitor, but I really like it. The stand on this monitor is fantastic. You can rotate, swivel, tilt, change the height, you can do whatever you want. I think nowadays a lot of monitors have this feature, but 8 years ago I think Dell were really the only company that had that kind of feature on a monitor, and it's quite surprising. Our next main category is going to be audio, and we start with my speakers. I have a pair of passive bookshelf speakers, the JBL Control 1. These are a pretty balanced sounding pair of speakers. I like them because they're not too deep, so they sit quite well on the desk, and they're pretty stealthy looking. They do of course need amplification, and in my case that's provided by this tiny SMSL SA36 amplifier. This is a Class T amplifier. It's a basic 220 watt channel amplifier. It works really well. There's no frills really, but it gets plenty of power going to these speakers. They can go much louder than I'd ever want them, and it's really convenient to have a small amplifier like that. Below my desk I've got this nifty headphone stand where I store my headphones. My current wireless headphones of choice are the Sony XM3s, which I reviewed previously on the channel. These are a bit more premium than some of the other items I've covered so far, costing me like £140. They were like new condition. I really like them though. They have great sound quality, great noise cancelling. I tend to use them a lot with work video calls because just having the freedom to be able to move around is a lot better than having a wire shackled to you. I connect these to the computer using a really tiny Bluetooth adapter that I got for like £7 off Amazon, which does the job very well. My second pair of headphones, if I can get them off the stand, are the Sony MDR-1As. I've had these for about 5 years. They cost me only about 90 quid new, but they've got a really nice, warm, pleasing sound, still working great. There's a lot of chips on them as I've thrown them around, but still working great. I tend to use these with my Blue Yeti microphone because they have a headphone monitoring, so I still need a wired headphone for that. They're not ideal for monitoring, really. They don't really have a neutral sound, but they do an okay job. Speaking of the Blue Yeti mic, I'll grab that, and I just dropped my headphones, never mind. The Blue Yeti mic, I've had this again for something like 4 years. I managed to get a really good price on it used, and it's a fantastic microphone, I think. It's really easy to use because it's USB based, there's no audio interfaces, it has a lot of different recording modes, it records pretty damn good stuff. I don't know, I'm not an audio professional obviously, so for my purposes it's definitely sufficient. I don't tend to record my videos with it, I tend to use this little lapel mic because it's more convenient, but sometimes if I'm doing a voiceover I'll get this out. Last but not least are my peripherals, and first up is the Steelseries 6 GV2, which I have over here. I'm fairly convinced this keyboard is indestructible. I've wanted to buy a lovely clicky RGB keyboard for so long, but I am convinced this keyboard is never going to die and allow me to do that. That being said, it does everything I need a keyboard to do, so there isn't much need for me to buy one. It has a full setup and a numpad, which is great for spreadsheet connoisseurs such as myself. It has media keys. It's a pretty nice minimalist look, which I like, and the keys are Cherry MX Blacks, which are a bit mushy, they're not clicky, but they're still way better than a normal rubber dome keyboard. Paired with that, I have a Myonix SK... I have a Myonix SK... what is it? Myonix SK Avior 7000. Now this is a very kind of hardcore gaming mouse, and I barely game anymore, but it's well featured. It's got a 7000 DPI sensor, it's got some nice RGB stuff going on, pretty minimal. I really like this because it's an ambidextrous design. Not to brag, but I can use a mouse with both my right and left hand, so it's really useful for me to have a symmetric mouse. I really like all the buttons on here. You can assign them to macros or changing the DPI on the fly, or yeah, anything like going back or changing desktop. The only thing that's gone wrong with it in 4 years is the scroll wheel button doesn't work anymore, so I've just changed that function to one of these little ones. I could get a soldering iron out and repair this button, but I think I'll just solder on for now. Get it? Because soldering. This mouse sits on top of my mouse pad, which is a pretty gnarly, disgusting Steelseries QCK, which is again about 8 years old. Still works, not that I expected it to break, but it's a good surface for a mouse, and I don't know, when do you buy a new mouse mat? I really don't know, but it only cost me, I don't know, something like £8 new. Still going strong, will probably never die, and yeah. And that is everything just about. I hope this was an interesting video. If anything, from making this video, I've realized that I probably need to upgrade some of this stuff, but I don't know, I don't like to replace stuff unless it's really broken, and that's my little protest against consumerism culture where we always want to buy the new shiny thing and not hold on to our old bits. It's either that or I'm an absolutely massive cheapskate. I'll let you decide which of those is the truth. Do let me know what you thought of this video, and what I'm really interested in, I found it interesting to count everything and add up the cost. It's quite an interesting breakdown, so if you happen to have some free time, do that. I'd be curious to see what other people have. But anyway, thanks for watching. Do subscribe for more to the point content, and I'll catch you in the next one.